What's up, Mets fans? Welcome to a new episode of the Teens and Queens podcast. Today we got a few different topics to go over. Mets swung a trade with the team. They signed a new reliever, got a new GM, and Mets favorite for me growing up and probably many others announced his retirement. So starting off with the trade, Mets traded Steven Matz to the Toronto Blue Jays in a deal a few days ago. Steven's been with the team since 2015, made a huge impact on the 2015 team, which got the Mets to the World Series, which was a great debut. It was pretty memorable for a lot of Mets fans. So I'm going to give this to Tim to tell you guys the trade details.
All right. So as we all know and learned about, we've traded Steven Matz to the Toronto Blue Jays in exchange for three pitching prospects, Sean Reed-Foley, Yennsy Diaz, and Josh Winkowski. They are fairly young. Two of them have reached major leagues. But yeah, so I think it's overall a good trade. We got three young arms for Steven Matz. Something more than I would expect for a pitcher like Steven Matz, who's been fairly struggling over the years. But yeah, so Steven Matz definitely had a long career with the Mets, longer than I expected after we saw a downfall and decline in his game the past few years. He had a solid year in 2018, but he's been up and down ever since he started with the Mets. But overall, I'm content with this trade, and I think a few of these guys can maybe make an impact in the future for the Mets organization, as I believe a few of them are already in the Mets top 30 prospect system, which is good to see, as we have a fairly weak farm system. So it's good to add some talent to that farm system we have right now. So yeah.
Yeah, when trading Stevens, it's a sad thing because he was one of the prospects that came up in 2015 that we thought was going to be one of our aces of the future with all those big guys. When Syndergaard came up in 2015, we had Harvey and DeGrom who came up in 2014 and won the Rookie of the Year that year, and then Wheeler coming back from Tommy John after that. But seeing him struggle these past few years has been tough. He's been up and down. He's obviously had injuries. Other than that, I mean, he's been a great guy for the community. Been nominated for the Roberto Clemente Award several times, so we love that. And we're obviously going to miss his contributions to New York as a whole. But sadly, he was never able to find his stride here, especially in the 2020 season. I was expecting a big year from Steven after he looked really good in the second half of 2019, but it just seemed like he can never figure it out. For the package we got, as Tim said, I wasn't expecting much considering he's had such a down year in 2020, but we actually got some good players and depth to our pitching in this trade. So that's really huge for us, as we didn't have much pitching depth, but that adds three quality guys who are going to slot it onto our team and maybe add something to our future pitching staff. I wish Steven the best of luck in Toronto, and I hope he can figure it out there. And yeah.
So I've always liked Steven Matz. Obviously he was great in 2015. He struggled a lot as a Met, but he always showed those sparks that showed, oh, all right, he could probably be a pretty good pitcher. Even when he was struggling, a few years ago, I think it was 2019, he threw the complete game shutout. So that was just exciting to watch, because you're oh, I don't know what Steven Matz is going to become, and then he goes out there and throws a complete game shutout, and it's oh, okay, let's see how he does. So like they were saying, he had a great 2019 second half, or a great second half of 2019. And 2020, a lot of injuries happened for the Mets, so he slotted right into the second role or second spot in the rotation last year. So or this past season. So I think that was a little bit of a boost for him, obviously, but I think it was also a tough spot. He had a great his first start was great against the Braves. I think he only gave up one run, and it was on a home run opposite field of Duvall, I'm pretty sure. So I mean, he pitched great. And I was just excited to see, because DeGrom, obviously, it was DeGrom opening day and was for the rest of the season, and Matz was just pitching great. But sadly, the Mets ended up losing that game. But it just showed what his potential could be for the season. And I mean, yeah. So that's my thoughts on Steven Matz, because I just think he was a fan favorite for a long time. Obviously for what he did on the field at moments, but also, the type of guy he was off the field.
Yeah, he definitely served a key role into the community. As Mike said, he won the Rupert implement, he served as a key member to the Mets community. So we definitely cut out a good amount of money too. We cut out $5.2 million in our salary. That we can use that on key free agents like Trevor Bauer, that we could be talking about in future this episode. We could be using this on depth. It also clears up a roster spot. So now we have 38 men on the 40 men currently. So who knows what we can do? I don't think we're done this offseason. I think we still have one more big splash in us. And yeah, we'll see what we do.
All right, so moving on to the next topic. Obviously, in our last episode, we talked about how we talked about how Jared Porter was fired by the Mets, obviously for the really bad things that he was doing in 2016. So the Mets promoted Zach Scott to the general manager role. I mean, I really like the move. I think this is pretty much expected since the Mets would have had kind of like a short time frame to go out there and try to hire a new guy outside the organization. So I'm going to give this to someone else to talk about Zach Scott.
Yeah, so Zach Scott, he was actually the guy that I wanted the Mets to hire as GM. Obviously, I didn't mind Porter at the time either. Those are my top two guys. But Zach Scott's was with the Red Sox for nearly 2 decades, I believe. He's been working heavily in analytics, so he's well known in that area of the sport, which is something that's rapidly growing as part of Major League Baseball currently. Analytics keep on growing and growing, and they're, as you saw with like the Rays this past year and the Dodgers, they're both great analytically run teams, and they went to the World Series. So I like that we promoted him. I think he might be the future president of this team once Sandy retires from the sport. But as for Porter, so Zach Scott and Porter knew each other pretty well. So Porter obviously brought him over from the Red Sox, where they both worked together. But other than that, I think Zach Scott's going to do a fine job. Maybe we hire some other guys to fill in some front office positions we already have in some player development areas. So we'll see what we do with the front office for the rest of the offseason, if there's any other moves there. But Zach Scott, good hiring. We didn't hire him, but we have promoted him.
Yeah. So as Mike said, he's been really into analytics, as you've shown, and that's definitely the new wave of the game, analytics. Steve Cohen is a big fan of analytics, so I think they will work together. They will work together very well. They both have similar personalities. They both want to win. He's already made some pretty big moves already, as we saw in the Steven Matz trade, and yeah. So I think I'm very excited for Zach Scott's reign as a New York Met, as serving as general manager. Who knows how long he'll be there for? Hopefully, it's longer than Jared Porter and Brody Van Wagenen. But I'm excited for the future of this team ran under Zach Scott.
Yeah, so like they were saying, I really like the Zach Scott promotion. Like I said, it was kind of expected. Like I've said in past episodes, I think it's pretty nice to have a general manager that does have experience in the role. With Brody, he didn't have them. He never had experience as a general manager. So 2 straight guys to have experience. One's gone because of what he did in 2016, and now we have Zach Scott, and it's hoping Zach Scott could be very successful with the Mets as general manager. So, I really like the Zach Scott hiring, like Tim was saying, or the Zach Scott promotion. Like Tim was saying, he's already made some key moves, traded Steven Matz, and now tying into the next topic, which fits right in, the Mets signed left-handed pitcher Aaron Loup to a 1-year deal, I think around $3 million. So I'm going to give this to someone to give their opinion on this.
Yeah, this was definitely an expected move, not to sign Aaron Loup, but sign a left-hand reliever, as we are in key need of one. Right now we have Daniel Zamora or Jerry Blevins, pitchers you wouldn't think would make this roster. So I think it was expected that we would sign a major league caliber left-hand out of our bullpen. But Aaron Loup he's been around for a while. He served as a pretty solid left-hand reliever over the years. He's 33 years old. He spent time with the Rays Rays organization last year, where he's pitched in big moments. He had one of his best years last year with the Rays last year. Overall, good solid pitcher, a good solid lefty. He has some good stuff on him, and I think this is a good signing and much needed. And this definitely adds to our bullpen that's been building ever since the 2018 season, where it's been bad. Last year we saw it get better, but it still hasn't been where we want it to be and where it needs to be if we want to become a championship caliber team.
We needed a lefty in the bullpen. We're probably going to lose Justin Wilson. Maybe we bring him back if we trade or send someone else to the minor leagues. But yeah, I really like the Aaron Loup signing. He's pretty good last year. Had good numbers in Tampa. As we're speaking right now, the Mets just made it official. We signed him for relatively cheap, $3 million. It's not that much, so it's affordable. Gives us still some financial flexibility to go out and sign other players. So I think he'll fit right into that bullpen. Get those for that lefty reliever spot. As Tim said, we don't really have much lefty depth in our pen right now. Jerry Blevins, Daniel Zamora. And if we choose to put Joey Lucchesi in the bullpen, that's another lefty option we could have. But Aaron Loup, good signing. Excited to have him.
Like they were saying, I really like the signing, especially when you have the experience that you do. Obviously, he pitched with the Rays last year. He pitched in the World Series. So, I mean, whenever you have a guy that pitched in playoff moments, no matter when they're down 3-0 or up 3-1, it's the guy's getting experience that, anything can happen in baseball. So he's out there. The manager trusts him, especially with a guy like Kevin Cash, who's obviously probably the best manager in baseball. I mean, you get trusted like that in those type of big situations, especially against a team like the Dodgers in the World Series. It just shows that, it's a good signing. Also, like Mike was pointing out, financial flexibility. Aaron Loup signed with the Mets. Obviously, it became official today, like Mike just said, but they traded Steven Matz a few hours after they signed Loup. So, I mean, they signed him for about $3 million, and to get rid of Steven Matz is $5 million. So, keeping the tabs open for guys maybe like, Jackie Bradley Jr., maybe even, Trevor Bauer. So, if anyone else has anything to say, they can. If not, we'll move on to the next topic.
Yeah, I think definitely addresses our bullpen needs. It was much needed, and we did it. Good first signing by Zach Scott, making some key moves already. So glad to see that.
All right, for the next topic, Mets fan favorite for a while. Obviously one of my favorite players growing up. Daniel Murphy retired from the game. He announced it yesterday. Daniel Murphy was one of my favorites growing up. The memories that I made, going to watch games, him waving to me when I was in the stands as like a little baby. So, that also like the crazy run he went on in the 2015 postseason. So, I'll let these guys talk about this. Daniel Murphy's retirement.
Aaron Murphy was like a huge part, I bet, of all of us being Mets fans as kids. Him and David Wright have those memories. He had some really good years with the Mets. He actually was an all-star one year, or maybe two, I don't remember. But especially that run that Bubba just mentioned, that postseason run, it was absolutely something that none of us have ever seen before. Something that maybe no one's ever seen before. He just was homering off like crazy. It was crazy. He was homering off all-star type pitchers like Clayton Kershaw, Zach Greinke, John Lester, Kyle Hendricks, all those guys. It was like, damn, this guy's going off. Sadly, after that run, we didn't bring him back, and he ended up beating us up when he went to the Nationals. But we really respect Daniel Murphy. He was a great player for the Mets. He gave it his all. Sometimes he made some silly decisions, but we all do that sometimes. But I wish Daniel Murphy the best of luck in his retirement. Hope he enjoys his family, and thanks for the memories.
Yeah, absolutely. As Mike said, Daniel Murphy was definitely a key part of me becoming a Mets fan. I started watching around the 2015 season, and watching him in the postseason was just incredible. It's something no person who watching baseball has ever seen the postseason ever. It was kind of like something we saw this postseason with the Rosarena, but it was a historic run for Daniel Murphy in the 2015 postseason, something no Mets fans will ever forget. He currently has the record after he's retiring with the most consecutive postseason games with a home run. It was at 6 games, which was just incredible thing. As you said, he was giving off all these great pitchers, Kershaw, Greinke, all these top pitchers in the league, and it's just something we may not see ever again. It's just crazy to think. It was just a couple of years ago we were there, but as we said, he went on to the Nationals, had a great career there. Sadly, but we have nothing but respect for the man. Even for the ups and downs he went as a Met, we will always remember the great memories for him. So for that, thank you, Daniel, and congratulations on your retirement.
Yeah, I think these guys can relate too. Like growing up, Daniel Murphy, David Wright, Jose Reyes were just like the guys that you watched and just like made you fall in love with the game. Just because like how they played, how they hustled, the smile that they brought to the field, even when they were losing. So, I mean, congrats, Daniel, on your retirement. Thanks for all the memories. Great career, great player to watch, great guy. Just really great career overall, and thanks for the memories. All right, so a few things to address. The Mets are still in on Trevor Bauer, and they said supposedly he was going to get like a larger contract than what Garrett Cole had, like annual average value. Report shot that down a little bit after, saying no, it's a false report. So, I mean, Trevor Bauer may be in a Mets jersey, but we have no clue what the contract details are. But supposedly the Mets did give him a contract. So I'm gonna let someone talk about this.
Yeah, so we're definitely a big bidder on Trevor Bauer. We recently saw the reports that the Angels are reportedly out on him, who were, in my opinion, the front runners to get him all offseason. They need pitching. They got Quintana. That might not be enough. They don't have a great pitching staff other than that. So I think he'd be a good fit for them. They are out now on him. So I think we are definitely the leaders for him. I think we don't know the contract we offer him. We don't know the type of contract. We all know Trevor Bauer's a very unpredictable guy. He's a very unorthodox way of doing stuff and with his decisions. So one day we could be the front runners and one day we could just not be in the conversation. So with Trevor Bauer, you'll never know what type of contract he's looking for, how much he's going to look for. But yeah, if we could add to this rotation, that's scary, especially with Syndergaard coming back. Like just DeGrom, Syndergaard, Carrasco, Bauer, and Peterson. So yeah, it's a good rotation right there, and just in a playoff situation, just imagine that 4-5 rotation with Bauer, DeGrom, Syndergaard, Stroman, Carrasco. That's a nice rotation you want there. Pitching, you need pitching in a postseason series, and we would have one of the best rotations in baseball there, in my opinion. So it would definitely be a great addition, but I need to see more of the details.
As Tim just said, just imagine that rotation. That's like the best rotation in baseball pretty easily, with DeGrom, Bauer, Syndergaard, Stroman, and Carrasco now. So, I mean, that's like close to unbeatable. That team maybe won 100 games and could easily compete with any team in the postseason because, as Tim just said, teams need pitching in the postseason to win, as we saw with the Nationals a few years ago. The Dodgers have good pitching. Every team that wins the World Series has to have good pitching. And if you don't, you're not going to make it very far. So I think it's very possible that we do end up with Trevor Bauer because there's not many teams in on him anymore. As Tim said, the Angels aren't out on him for several reasons. One being that our former manager, Mickey Callaway, does not have a good relationship with Trevor because Mickey is very old school, not very analytically sound, and Trevor is. He likes to constantly adapt. And I think that's something that fits well for our pitchers. And I think that'd be a great fit for us. On the contract aspect of this, Trevor Bauer is looking for a good contract that's expected. He's coming off a Cy Young season. I don't think he'll go over Garrett Cole's average annual value, but I do see him getting a decent amount of money, probably 30-ish million for, depends how long we want to or other teams want to give him. The contract situation I think could end up being very interesting the way it's constructed. But just imagine, and like Trevor Bauer is a huge personality, does so many things to help make the game grow. Makes YouTube vlogs, constantly tweeting and trolling people. I mean, sometimes people don't like that, but I think it's funny. And his vlogs are always interesting, gives us insight on how baseball players think and do stuff throughout the course of a season, or how he throws his pitches or anything, his life basically. So he makes that available to us, which I think is a great thing. I would love to have Trevor Bauer in this rotation. If we do sign Trevor Bauer, that probably gives us little to no flexibility, though, to fix other positions. We'd probably have to go sign a center fielder like Albert Almora Jr., who's going to be cheaper than Jackie Bradley, because Jackie Bradley's looking for the 10 to 15 million per year. So I think Trevor Bauer is a good fit here. The other team I think that's interested is the Dodgers, who I think we're the two main teams. There could be a mystery team, like maybe the Giants, per se. But I think it comes down to the Mets and Dodgers, and whoever. I don't think either team wants to get into a bidding war, so he's just gonna have to pick whichever one he wants. As Trevor Bauer said in the past, that he would want to play for the Dodgers in some point in his career. But I think he really respects what Steve Cohen's doing. He's made that public in multiple videos and tweets. So we'll see what happens with Trevor Bauer and possibly this next week or within the next few.
So just to touch on what Mike said about Trevor Bauer's personality, it goes very line in line with how Steve Cohen has been acting on Twitter. They both have very similar personalities with the analytics and the way baseball's moving. So I think they both have very similar personalities. Trevor Bauer's complimented the way Steve Cohen has ran the Mets and what he's been doing ever since he has owned the Mets. So I think those two will clink together, and that could persuade Trevor Bauer to sign with the New York Mets. And yeah.
Now, talk about what Tim just said about, how Trevor Bauer talks about Steve Cohen on Twitter and how Steve Cohen has his own Twitter account. Well, it was made public that Steve Cohen, deleted his Twitter account. Everybody was kind of questioning why he did so. And then he came out the press report earlier today saying that him and his family were getting threats about, different things. So, in my opinion, these guys, if they want to talk about it, they can, but they're just like a little tidbit for this show. If you're sending out threats and stuff to a person, it's just messed up on social media. So it's like, especially to a guy that's, just trying to do good. The only reason he basically got Twitter is to interact with Mets fans and try to get their ideas on how to make the team better and how to make, the atmosphere better. So obviously there's a lot going on right now with different stocks and stuff. So that's probably the reason why he's getting all these threats. But it's just sad that, a guy that's been loved by Mets fans and still is getting threats for stuff that has nothing to do with the Mets. So, if these guys want to say something about it, they can. If not, we'll just move on to the next, tidbit about it.
Yeah, and we just want to say to you guys, if you're like one of the people doing all these threats, we're asking you to stop. It's just nothing you should do on the internet. It can't make it can only do harm to someone and doesn't have any positive effect. So if you are one of these people doing any threats towards Steve Cohen or anyone on the internet, we encourage you to stop.
There's a difference between disliking someone and then being toxic. What these people are doing by threatening him or being toxic. If they want to talk bad about him or dislike him, go for it. But threatening someone and his family is very disgusting behavior and should not be tolerated. And I fully acknowledge why Steve Cohen decided to delete his account. That makes the most sense considering what's happened these past few days and his family getting threats. So when he's ready to come back, he'll come back. But until then, I hope he doesn't get any more threats about anything, because I understand there's been a lot going on with the stock market recently, as Bubba said, crazy stuff going on. but that's still no reason to threaten someone's family.
So, they just address the points. It's just like kind of a wake up call to all those people out there who do send threats. Don't do it. You're not cool. You're not getting last. It just looks dumb. So, to end it off like a non-Mets related tidbit, but like around MLB, blockbuster trade happened last night. Nolan Arenado was traded to the St. Louis Cardinals. Don't really know the details of that yet, but pretty big trade and kind of a league shifting almost to see maybe a new front runner in the NL Central. So, I don't know if anybody else wants to really talk about this one, but if not, I think that's it for the podcast episode. So
yeah, I'll say a little thing. It makes the Cardinals probably favorites for the NL Central, as you said. Adds a little bit of a more interesting thing to the National League. I think the top teams in the NL are going to be the Mets, Braves, the Dodgers, the Padres, probably the Cardinals, obviously, with other teams closer around that spot, like the Nationals and stuff. But it's a big trade, interesting trade. I don't think the Mets were in on him. I think after the Lindor trade, it really didn't make any sense for the Mets to do that. But it's an interesting trade all around, and we'll see what comes of it for the St. Louis Cardinals.
But yeah, just to add on to what Mike said, the Mets were not in on Nolan Arenado. The report came out saying they are very comfortable with J.D. Davis, and they plan on rolling with him going into the 2021 season. So that'll be exciting to see, and hopefully he can have the success he had in 2019. So that's going to be it for today's podcast episode. Hope you guys enjoyed, and hope you guys have a great day, and let's go Mets.